Hello everyone, welcome back to Fluent English with Radio. Here you can find videos that help you feel better when you feel lost or unmotivated and also help you grow through English and personal development. Today's topic is really exciting. Tiny habits from successful people that will make you rich. These habits may look small, but they have the power to completely change your future. You see, successful people are not born different from you. They are not smarter. They are not luckier. They just have small habits. And they repeat these habits every day for a long time. That's why they get big results. Think about it. Every billionaire was once just a normal person. They had doubts, they had fears, they made mistakes. But they did something different. They built habits that helped them grow every single day. Even billionaires and millionaires started with small things. Things that look silly or too simple. Warren Buffett started by selling chewing gum door to door when he was 6 years old. Elon Musk taught himself how to code from a book. Bill Gates spent hours in the library reading about computers. These things seem small, even funny, but those small things changed their lives completely. The good news is that you can do the same. You don't need a lot of money to begin. You don't need a special degree. You only need to change a few small habits in your daily life. In this video, you will learn 12 small habits. These habits come from famous successful people like Bill Gates, Elon Musk, Warren Buffett, and Jim Rohn. They will help you become richer and more confident. These are not big secrets. They are simple actions. But if you do them every day, they will change your future and your life. The key word is every day. One day of good habits won't change anything, but 365 days? That changes everything. Let's start. Part 1. Mindset Habits. How rich people think. The way you think controls the way you live. If you think like a poor person, you will stay poor. If you think like a rich person, you will become rich. It's that simple. Let's look at 3 main ways rich people think. 1. Think long-term, not short-term. Poor people think about this month. Rich people think about the next 10 years. When you make a decision, do you think about today or about your future? Most people want quick results. They want money now. They want success fast. But that's not how real wealth works. Real wealth takes time. It takes patience. It takes planning. So before you do anything, ask yourself, is this good for my future? If something isn't good for you in the long run, stay away from it. Rich people always ask themselves one question before making a choice. Where will this take me in 5 years? In 10 years? When you think long-term, you make better decisions. You don't waste money on temporary things. You invest in things that grow. You learn skills that last forever. A tiny action you can start today is to think about one simple question every time you make a decision. Is this good for me 5 years from now? Buying an expensive phone just to look cool probably won't help you 5 years down the line. But learning a new skill that could increase your income will. Eating unhealthy food because it's cheap might not serve you well in the long run, while exercising just 20 minutes a day will pay off over time. This small question has the power to shift your mindset, and when your thinking changes, your entire life begins to change too. 2. Know you're enough. Many people work hard to make money, but they never feel happy. Why? Because they don't know what is enough for them. They always want more. More money, more things, bigger houses, fancier cars, and they never stop. Elon Musk once said, "You don't need more to be happy. You need less to feel peaceful." Some people earn $1,000 and feel rich. Some people earn $10,000 and still feel poor. The difference is not the money. The difference is knowing when to stop. If you don't know you're enough, you will keep buying more things. New clothes every month, new tech every year. But you will never feel satisfied. Rich people are different. They know they're enough. They know what makes them comfortable. And they stop there. They don't need to show off. They don't need to impress others. A tiny action you can take today is to sit down and ask yourself, how much money do I really need to feel comfortable? Write down a number and describe the life you want. Do you want a small house or a big house? A simple car or a luxury car? Be clear and be honest with yourself. When you know you're enough, you can stop the endless cycle of buying and spending. You feel more in control, and having control is the first step to becoming rich. 3rd, never depend on one income. Warren Buffett believed that you should never rely on one income. Invest to create another. Most people have only one income, their salary. If they lose their job, they lose everything. That's very dangerous. Rich people never depend on one income. They always have more than one way to earn money. Maybe they have a job, but they also invest in stocks. Or they have a side business. Or they earn money from renting a property. A tiny habit you can start today is to spend 10 minutes every day learning one way to create extra income. You can read about freelancing, watch a video about investing, or listen to a podcast about starting a small business. After 30 days, you will know much more, and after 6 months, you might already have a second income. Even if it is just $50 a month at first, it is a start. Some ideas for extra income you can explore include freelance writing or design, selling products online, teaching English, investing in dividend stocks, or creating content on YouTube or a blog. Pick one, learn about it, and try it. The most important thing is to start. Part 2. Saving Habits. How to keep your money. Making money is important, but keeping money is even more important. Many people earn good money, but they do not save anything, so they never become rich. In this part, I will show you some simple ways to keep your money. 4th, pay yourself first. Most people do it like this. They get paid, spend money on everything, and then at the end of the month, if there is anything left, they save it. But guess what? There usually isn't. Rich people do it differently. They save first before spending a single penny. As Warren Buffett once taught, you shouldn't save what's left after spending. You should spend what's left after saving. It is a powerful habit. Even if you can only save 10% of your income, you should do it. Save first, then spend. For example, Let's say you earn $1,000 a month. The moment you get your paycheck, take $100 and put it in a savings account. Then use the remaining $900 for everything else. If you save $100 every month in 1 year, you will have $1,200. In 5 years, $6,000. In 10 years, $12,000. And that is just from saving 10%. A tiny tip is to set up an automatic transfer in your banking app. Every month, 10% of your salary goes straight into savings. You don't even have to think about it. It just happens. 5. Live below your means. This means spend less than you earn. It sounds simple, but most people do not do it. They earn $1,000 and spend $1,200. Then they use credit cards or loans and end up in debt. Elon Musk once tried an experiment. He lived on $1 per day to prove to himself that he could survive with very little. He wanted to know what is the worst that could happen, and he learned he could handle it. You do not need to live on $1 per day, but you should live below your income level. If you earn $2,000 per month, try to live like you earn $1,500 and save or invest the rest. Many people do the opposite. When they earn more, they spend more. This is called lifestyle inflation, and it keeps people poor forever. So, write down 3 things you bought just for fun and then ask yourself, did I really need this? Sometimes the answer is yes. Maybe you bought a book that helped you learn, and that is good. But sometimes the answer is no. Maybe you bought a shirt you never wear. When you notice these patterns, you can stop them and you will save hundreds of dollars every year. 6. Automate your savings. Most millionaires use automatic transfers. It helps because it removes feelings from the decision. If you have to save money by yourself, you might think, I need this money for something else, or I will save next month, and then you never do it. But when saving is automatic, everything happens by itself. You don't need willpower, and you don't have to remember to do it. A small action is to open your banking app and set up an automatic transfer. Every month, 10% of your salary goes to a different savings account. This only takes 5 minutes, but it can make you thousands of dollars richer over time. After you set it up, do not check that savings account every day. Just let it grow and look at it once every 3 months. You will be surprised how much you have. Part 3. Spending Habits. How to spend wisely. Spending money is not bad, but spending money on the wrong things is bad. Let's learn how to spend wisely. 7. Spend on assets, not status. This is one of the most important differences between rich people and poor people. Rich people buy assets and poor people buy status. An asset is something that makes you money or increases in value. A house you rent out is an asset. A skill you learn is an asset. A business is an asset. Status is something you buy to look good. An expensive watch, a fancy car, or designer clothes with big logos are status. These things do not make you money, they take money from you. Warren Buffett, one of the richest people in the world, still lives in the same house he bought in 1958. He does not drive a Ferrari and he does not need to look rich. A tiny action is before you buy something. Ask yourself, Does this help me grow, or does it just make me look good? For example, if you buy a $500 online course to learn a skill that is an asset. But if you buy $500 shoes just because they have a brand logo, that is status. Buying books about investing is also an asset, while buying a luxury bag you cannot afford is status. So choose wisely, buy assets, and avoid status. 8. Delay gratification. Gratification means the good feeling you get when you buy something nice. Delaying gratification means waiting before you get that feeling. This is hard. We want things now, but that's not how wealth works. Elon Musk didn't spend money after Tesla's IPO. Instead, he invested that money into SpaceX. He delayed his gratification to build something bigger. There's a famous psychology experiment called the marshmallow test. Scientists gave children one marshmallow. They said, "You can eat this now," or wait 15 minutes and get 2 marshmallows. Some children ate it immediately. Some waited. Years later, the children who waited were more successful in life. Why? Because they learned to delay gratification. A tiny action is when you want to buy something, wait one day. If you still want it after one day, then you can buy it. This rule is very simple, but it will save you a lot of money. Most of the time after waiting one day, you realize you do not really need it. It was just an impulse. 9. Track every expense. Rich people see money as data. They track everything. They know exactly where their money goes. Poor people don't track their money. At the end of the month, they wonder, "Where did all my money go?" When you track your expenses, you see the truth. You see that you spent $200 on coffee last month, $150 on food delivery. These small amounts add up. A tiny action is to download a free expense tracking app. Every day, spend 3 minutes writing down what you spent everything. At the end of the month, look at the report. You will see patterns and you will see where your money goes. Then you can ask yourself, do I want to keep spending this way? Most people are shocked when they see their spending habits for the first time, but that shock is good because it wakes you up. Once you know the reality, you can change it, and control is wealth. Part 4. Growth Habits: How to Make Money Work for You. The first 3 parts were about managing money. This part is about growing money. This is where real wealth happens. 10. Read about money every day. Warren Buffett spends 80% of his working time reading. Bill Gates reads 50 books per year. Elon Musk taught himself rocket science by reading books. If you want to be rich, you need to learn about money every single day. Even just 10 minutes, even just 1 page. A tiny action is to read 1 page about finance every day. You can read from a book, a blog, or listen to a short podcast. After 1 year, you will have read 365 pages. That is almost 2 books. Learning about money is one of the best investments you can make. You can learn simple things like how to make a budget or how to invest in index funds. You can also learn how compound interest works, how to start a side business, and how to save on taxes. Choose 1 topic each month and learn about it every day. After 12 months, you will know 12 different ways to improve your finances. Some good books to start with are Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. Another one is The Richest Man in Babylon by George Clason. You can also read The Millionaire Next Door by Thomas Stanley. 11. Invest in yourself before investing in the market. Jim Rohn said, "Formal education will make you a living. Self-education will make you a fortune." The best investment is not the stock market and it is not real estate. The best investment is you. When you learn a new skill, you can earn more money and get more opportunities. For example, if you learn to write well, you can become a freelance writer and earn $50 to $100 per article. If you learn to code, you can build websites and earn a lot of money. If you learn to edit videos, you can help YouTubers and earn good money. These skills can help you for your whole life. A tiny action is to choose one skill that can help you earn more money and spend 15 minutes every day learning it. In 3 months, you will be better. In 1 year, you might become very good. Some useful skills are writing, public speaking, sales and marketing, basic coding, video editing, and graphic design. Pick one skill first and learn it well, then start another. You can learn these skills for free. YouTube has many free tutorials. Udemy has courses for $10 to $20. You do not need to spend a lot of money. 12. Make your money work while you sleep. Warren Buffett said, "If you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you will work until you die." This is the most important habit of all. When you work a job, you trade your time for money. If you stop working, you stop earning. That's called active income. But when you invest, your money works for you, even when you sleep. That's called passive income. Rich people have passive income. They own stocks that pay dividends, they own rental properties. They earn money 24 hours a day. You don't need a lot of money to start investing. You can start with $10, $50, or $100. A tiny action is to learn about one safe investment option. Some beginner-friendly options are index funds or ETFs, savings accounts with compound interest, and dividend stocks. Start small. Put $20 or $50 into an investment and see how it works. Learn from it and then add more when you feel comfortable. There is something called compound interest. It means your money grows and then the growth also grows. For example, if you invest $100 per month for 30 years with an 8% return, you will have about $150,000. You only put in $36,000, but compound interest gave you an extra $114,000. But you need to start today, not tomorrow. Even if it is just $10, just start. These 12 habits are small. Very small. Anyone can do them. You don't need to be smart. You don't need to be rich already. You just need to start. But when you do these habits every day, they create a huge difference. They add up. They compound. 1 day of saving $5 doesn't matter, but 365 days of saving $5, that's $1,825. 5 years? Over $9,000. Small actions, big results. Remember, rich people don't earn better. They just manage better. They don't make more money than everyone else at first. They just do different things with their money. They save first. They invest in themselves. They think long-term. They track their money. They don't buy things to show off. They build assets quietly. You can do the same. You don't need to be born rich. You don't need a high salary. You just need good habits. And good habits are free. Start with one habit this week, just one. Maybe start tracking your expenses or set up automatic savings, or read one page about money. Next week, add another one. In 3 months, you will have most of these habits, and in 1 year, your financial life will look completely different. Here's the truth. It's not about having more money. It's about having more control. When you control your money, you control your future. You control your choices. You control your life. And that's real wealth. Money can't buy happiness, but money can buy freedom. Freedom to choose. Freedom to say no to things you don't like. Freedom to say yes to things you love. And that freedom starts with small habits. So start today. Start small. Stay consistent. Don't give up after 1 week. Keep going. One day, maybe in a few years, you will look back. You will see how far you've come, and you will think, I'm so glad I started. One day, money will start working for you. You will wake up and see that you earned money while you slept. And that feeling? That's the best feeling in the world. That day will come sooner than you think, but only if you start today. You have the power to change your life, one habit at a time, one day at a time. The question is, will you start today? Your future is waiting. Go get it.
Let me ask you something right now, and I want you to be completely honest with yourself. How much money do you have in your bank account? How much did you make last year? And more importantly, what's your plan to make significantly more next year? If those questions make you uncomfortable, good, they should. Because the truth is, most men watching this video are broke, not just financially broke, but mentally broke. You're broke in your thinking, broke in your habits, and broke in your understanding of how money really works. And before you get defensive, before you click away, before you start typing some angry comment about how I don't know your situation, let me tell you something. I've studied thousands of men, rich men, poor men, and everything in between, and there are clear, undeniable patterns that separate those who build wealth from those who stay broke their entire lives. Today, I'm going to show you the 7 things that poor men do that rich men never do. These aren't theories. These aren't opinions. These are observable behaviors that determine whether a man lives in abundance or dies in poverty. This isn't going to be comfortable. This isn't going to be easy to hear. But if you can handle the truth, if you can look at yourself honestly, this video will change your life forever. So listen carefully. We're about to go deep. Thing 1. Poor men watch TV, rich men read books. The first thing that separates poor men from rich men is how they spend their free time. Poor men watch TV, rich men read books. How many hours did you spend in front of the television last week? How many hours did you spend scrolling through social media, watching YouTube videos, or playing video games? Now, when was the last time you read a book? When was the last time you invested in your mind instead of just entertaining it? Rich men understand something that poor men don't. Your mind is your most valuable asset. What you put into it determines what comes out of it, and what comes out of it determines your results in life. While poor men are watching Netflix, rich men are reading about business strategy. While poor men are scrolling Instagram, rich men are studying financial markets. While poor men are playing video games, rich men are learning new skills that increase their earning potential. Let me give you some numbers that will shock you. The average American watches over 4 hours of television per day. That's 28 hours per week. That's 1,456 hours per year. That's equivalent to working a part-time job. Except instead of getting paid, you're paying cable companies and streaming services for the privilege of wasting your life. Now imagine if you took just half of those hours and used them to educate yourself. In 1 year, you'd have 728 hours of learning. That's enough time to master a new skill, start a business, or completely transform your financial situation. But you don't do that, do you? You come home tired and choose the easy path. You choose to be entertained instead of educated. You choose to consume other people's success instead of creating your own. Rich men make a different choice. They understand that every hour spent learning is an investment in their future. They read biographies of successful people to learn from their experiences. They study their industries to stay ahead of trends. They consume information that makes them more valuable in the marketplace. Warren Buffett reads 500 pages per day. Bill Gates reads 50 books per year. Elon Musk learned rocket science by reading books. These men didn't become wealthy by accident. They became wealthy by constantly feeding their minds with valuable information. Your brain is like a muscle. If you exercise it with challenging, educational content, it gets stronger. If you let it atrophy with mindless entertainment, it gets weaker, and a weak mind produces weak results. The information you consume shapes your thoughts. Your thoughts shape your decisions. Your decisions shape your actions, and your actions shape your results. Poor men fill their minds with garbage and wonder why their lives look like garbage. Rich men fill their minds with wisdom and create lives of abundance. Which type of man are you? Thing 2. Poor men get paid based on time. Rich men get paid based on results. The second fundamental difference between poor men and rich men is how they approach compensation. Poor men get paid based on time. Rich men get paid based on results. Poor men think in terms of hourly wages, salaries, and trading time for money. They work 40 hours. They get paid for 40 hours. They work 50 hours. They might get paid for 50 hours. But there are only so many hours in a day, which means there's a ceiling on their income. Let's say you're working at McDonald's. You might be the best floor cleaner on the planet. You might clean those floors better than anyone in the history of McDonald's. But what value do you really bring to McDonald's? And more importantly, how much can they afford to pay someone to clean floors? The harsh reality is that your effort doesn't determine your income. Your value does, and if your value can be easily replaced, your income will always be limited. Rich men understand this principle completely. They don't get paid for their time. They get paid for their results. They get paid for the value they create, the problems they solve, and the outcomes they deliver. Think about the highest paid athletes in the world. Do they get paid based on how many hours they practice? Do they get paid based on how much effort they put in during training? No. They get paid based on how they perform when it matters. They get paid based on results. The same is true in business. A rich man might spend a year developing a product, investing his time, money, and energy. If that product fails in the marketplace, he makes nothing. The market doesn't care how hard he worked or how much time he invested. The market only cares about results. But if that product succeeds, he can make millions, not because he worked harder than someone making minimum wage, but because he created more value. This is why rich men focus on becoming more valuable rather than just working more hours. They develop skills that produce better results. They solve bigger problems. They create more impact. Poor men, on the other hand, are obsessed with working harder rather than working smarter. They think that if they just put in more hours, they'll make more money, but that's not how the world works. The world pays you based on the value you deliver, not the time you invest. And until you understand this principle, you'll always be limited by the number of hours in a day. Rich men break free from this limitation by creating systems, building teams, and developing assets that produce results without their constant input. They leverage other people's time, other people's money, and other people's efforts to multiply their impact. While poor men are trading their time for money, rich men are building machines that generate money while they sleep. Thing 3. Poor men blame others. Rich men take responsibility. The third thing that separates poor men from rich men is how they handle failure and setbacks. Poor men blame others for their problems. Rich men take responsibility for their results. For poor men, it's always somebody else's fault. It's the economy. It's the government. It's their boss. It's their job. It's their city. It's their family. It's their background. It's the system. It's society. It's rich people. It's anyone and everyone except themselves. Poor men are professional victims. They have an excuse for everything. They can explain in great detail why their circumstances are someone else's responsibility and why they're powerless to change their situation. The economy is bad. Really? Then why are some men making millions in this same economy? My boss doesn't appreciate me. Okay, so why don't you find a new job or start your own business? I didn't have the same opportunities. Sure, and yet men who started with nothing are building empires every single day. The system is rigged against people like me. Then, why don't you learn how the system works and use it to your advantage? Every excuse is a choice. Every time you blame someone else, you're choosing to give away your power. You're choosing to be a victim instead of the creator of your own destiny. Rich men take a completely different approach. When something goes wrong, they ask, what could I have done differently? When they fail, they ask, what can I learn from this? When they face obstacles, they ask, how can I overcome this? They take complete responsibility for their results even when external factors contribute to their problems. Why? Because responsibility equals power. When you take responsibility, you gain the power to change your situation. Let me give you a real example. Two men lose their jobs in the same economic downturn. The poor man blames the economy, complains about how unfair it is, and waits for someone to give him another job. He might spend months or even years unemployed, getting more bitter and more convinced that the world is against him. The rich man takes responsibility. He asks himself what skills he can develop to become more valuable. He looks for opportunities that others are missing. He might start his own business, learn a new skill, or find a way to profit from the economic situation. Same circumstances, different responses, different outcomes. This isn't about fairness. Life isn't fair. Bad things happen to good people. External factors do influence our results. But successful men understand that while they can't control everything that happens to them, they can control how they respond to what happens to them. When you take full responsibility for your life, something magical happens. You stop wasting energy on blame and start focusing that energy on solutions. You stop being a victim of circumstances and start becoming the architect of your destiny. Remember this: lame men blame people. Strong men take responsibility and change their situation. Thing 4. Poor men focus on saving. Rich men focus on investing. The fourth difference between poor men and rich men is their relationship with money. Poor men focus on saving. Rich men focus on investing. Poor men are taught from a young age to save their money. Put it in a savings account. Don't spend it on unnecessary things. Live below your means. Build an emergency fund. This advice sounds responsible, and it is to a degree, but it's also the reason most men stay poor. You know the advice. Don't buy that coffee. Don't eat out. Don't upgrade your phone. Always look for the cheapest option. Clip coupons. Hunt for deals. Save every penny you can. And where has all this saving gotten you? You're still broke, aren't you? Here's what rich men understand that poor men don't. A penny saved is still just a penny. You're not going to get rich by saving a few dollars here and there. The problem isn't that you're spending too much. The problem is that you're not earning enough. You don't have a spending problem. You have an income problem. While poor men are obsessed with cutting expenses, rich men are focused on increasing income. While poor men are trying to save their way to wealth, rich men are investing their way to abundance. Let me break this down with simple math. Let's say you make $50,000 per year and you manage to save 20% of your income. That's $10,000 per year in savings. At that rate, it would take you 10 years to save $100,000, and that's assuming you never touch that money for emergencies, which most people do. Now let's say, instead of just saving that money, you invest it. If you can get a 10% return on your investments, that same $10,000 per year becomes $175,000 in 10 years due to compound growth. And if you can increase your income while you're investing, the numbers become even more dramatic. But rich men don't stop there. They use their money to buy assets that generate more money. They invest in real estate that produces rental income. They start businesses that create ongoing profits. They buy stocks that pay dividends. They create multiple streams of income that grow over time. Poor men keep their money in savings accounts, earning 1% interest while inflation eats away at their purchasing power. They think they're being safe, but they're actually going backwards financially. Rich men take calculated risks with their money because they understand that the biggest risk is not taking any risk at all. They know that money sitting in a savings account is money that's not working for them. This doesn't mean rich men are reckless with money. They educate themselves about investments. They understand the risks. They diversify their holdings, but they also understand that wealth is built through intelligent investing, not through saving pennies. The wealthy don't get rich by cutting expenses. They get rich by increasing assets. They focus on building wealth, not just conserving it. Your goal shouldn't be to save money. Your goal should be to invest money in things that will make you more money. That's how real wealth is created. Thing 5. Poor men think they know everything. Rich men never stop learning. The fifth thing that separates poor men from rich men is their attitude toward learning. Poor men think they know everything. Rich men never stop learning. Poor men are incredibly opinionated. They have strong opinions about politics, sports, the economy, business, investing, and pretty much everything else. Ask them about any topic, and they'll give you a passionate lecture about what they think. But here's the problem. Their opinions are worthless because they're not based on actual knowledge or experience. They have opinions about real estate, but they've never bought a property. They have opinions about the stock market, but they've never built a portfolio. They have opinions about business, but they've never started one. Poor men get their information from other poor people. They watch the news, listen to talk radio, and get their financial advice from broke friends and family members. They form strong opinions based on incomplete information and then defend those opinions as if their lives depend on it. Why do poor men act this way? Because having opinions makes them feel important. It gives them a sense of superiority. It's their way of getting attention and feeling like they matter. But successful men take a completely different approach. They're humble enough to admit when they don't know something. They're constantly learning, growing, and improving their understanding of the world. Rich men surround themselves with people who know more than they do. They hire coaches and mentors. They attend seminars and conferences. They read books written by experts. They ask questions instead of pretending to have all the answers. They understand a fundamental truth. Your income can only grow to the extent that you do. Your wealth can only expand as fast as your knowledge and skills expand. Let me ask you something. If you're so smart about money, why are you broke? If you understand business so well, why don't you own a successful business? If you know so much about investing, why isn't your portfolio making you rich? The moment you admit that you don't know everything is the moment you can start learning. The moment you start learning is the moment you can start growing. And the moment you start growing is the moment your income can start increasing. Rich men treat learning as a lifelong process. They understand that the world is constantly changing and they need to constantly adapt. They invest in their education because they know it's the best investment they can make. They don't let their ego get in the way of their education. They're not afraid to look stupid by asking questions. They're not too proud to learn from people who are younger, different, or less experienced in other areas. Poor men let their pride keep them poor. Rich men let their humility make them rich. Remember, the more you learn, the more you earn. The less you know, the less you grow. Thing 6. Poor men believe money is evil. Rich men know poverty is evil. The sixth difference between poor men and rich men is their fundamental beliefs about money itself. Poor men believe money is the root of all evil. Rich men understand that poverty is the root of all evil. You've heard this your entire life. Money is the root of all evil. Rich people are greedy. Money doesn't buy happiness. You can't be wealthy and still be a good person. These beliefs have been programmed into your mind since childhood, and they're destroying your chances of ever building wealth. How can you attract something you believe is evil? How can you build wealth when you think wealthy people are bad? How can you become rich when you believe being rich makes you a terrible person? You can't. Your subconscious mind won't allow you to achieve something that conflicts with your core beliefs about morality and success. Meanwhile, rich men have completely different beliefs about money. They see money as a tool for good. They understand that money gives them options, freedom, and the ability to help others on a larger scale. And here's the truth that poor men don't want to hear. Poverty causes far more evil than wealth ever has. Look at the poorest neighborhoods in any city. What do you see? Crime, violence, drug abuse, broken families, desperation, people stealing from each other, hurting each other, destroying their own communities. Now look at the wealthiest neighborhoods. What do you see? Safety, opportunity, philanthropy, stable families, people helping each other succeed. In the history of mankind, no bank has ever been robbed by someone pulling up in a Rolls-Royce. Banks are robbed by desperate people who don't have money, not by people who have too much of it. Money doesn't corrupt people. The lack of money does. Desperation makes people do terrible things. Poverty creates desperation. When you don't have enough money to feed your family, you might steal. When you can't pay rent, you might lie to your landlord. When you're drowning in debt, you might hurt the people you love. When you have no options, you make bad choices. But when you have financial abundance, you can afford to be generous. When you have security, you can afford to be kind. When you have wealth, you can afford to help others. Money is neutral. It's neither good nor evil. It's simply a tool that amplifies who you already are. If you're a good person, money will allow you to do more good. If you're a bad person, money will amplify your bad qualities. But the solution isn't to avoid money. The solution is to become a better person while building wealth. Rich men understand this. They don't feel guilty about their success. They don't apologize for their wealth. They use their money to create jobs, support charities, and make the world a better place. Until you change your beliefs about money, money will continue to avoid you. You can't attract what you reject. You can't build what you believe is wrong. Start seeing money for what it really is, a tool for freedom, opportunity, and positive impact. When you do, you'll finally be able to build the wealth you deserve. Thing 7. Poor men have lottery mentality. Rich men have action mentality. The seventh and final difference between poor men and rich men is their approach to creating success. Poor men have lottery mentality. Rich men have action mentality. Poor men believe that wealth happens to people, not through people. They think success is about luck, timing, connections, or being in the right place at the right time. They buy lottery tickets, hoping to win millions. They wait for their big break, their lucky chance, their moment of discovery. Even though they know the odds of winning the lottery are virtually zero, they buy into the fantasy. They dream about what they'll do when they win. They plan their future around luck rather than action. This mentality extends beyond actual lottery tickets. Poor men have a lottery mentality about everything. They hope their boss will notice them and give them a promotion. They hope the economy will improve and create better opportunities. They hope someone will discover their talents and make them famous. They wait for external forces to change their circumstances. They believe that success is something that happens to them, not something they create. Rich men have the complete opposite mindset. They have action mentality. They believe that if it's going to be, it's up to them. They don't wait for luck. They create their own luck through preparation, persistence, and intelligent action. Rich men understand that success is not a random event. It's the predictable result of consistent, focused action over time. They don't hope for opportunities, they create opportunities. While poor men are buying lottery tickets, rich men are building businesses. While poor men are waiting for their ship to come in, rich men are swimming out to meet it. While poor men are hoping for a miracle, rich men are working to become the miracle in someone else's life. This doesn't mean rich men don't believe in luck, they do. But they also understand that luck is where preparation meets opportunity. They prepare themselves so thoroughly that when opportunities arise, they're ready to capitalize on them. Rich men take massive action. They don't wait for perfect conditions. They don't wait until they have all the answers. They don't wait until they feel ready. They start where they are, with what they have, and figure it out as they go. They fail more than poor men because they try more than poor men. They face more rejection because they take more risks. They encounter more obstacles because they're actually moving toward their goals instead of just dreaming about them. But through all that action, all that failure, all that persistence, they eventually succeed. Not because they were lucky, but because they were relentless. Poor men make excuses. Rich men make progress. Poor men wait for permission. Rich men give themselves permission. Poor men hope for the best. Rich men work to create the best. The difference isn't talent, intelligence, or background. The difference is mentality. The difference is believing that your success depends on your actions, not your luck. The choice that will define your life. So there you have it, the 7 things that poor men do that rich men don't. Poor men watch TV, rich men read books. Poor men get paid based on time. Rich men get paid based on results. Poor men blame others. Rich men take responsibility. Poor men focus on saving. Rich men focus on investing. Poor men think they know everything. Rich men never stop learning. Poor men believe money is evil. Rich men know poverty is evil. Poor men have lottery mentality. Rich men have action mentality. Now comes the moment of truth. You have a choice to make. You can get offended by what I've said. You can make excuses. You can blame me for being too harsh or too direct. You can tell yourself that your situation is different, that I don't understand your circumstances. Or you can look in the mirror and admit that I'm right. You can acknowledge that these 7 behaviors have been holding you back. You can accept that your financial situation is the direct result of your daily choices and habits. You can admit that if you want different results, you need to start doing different things. The choice is yours, and it will define the rest of your life. Because here's what's going to happen. Most men will watch this video and change nothing. They'll go right back to their old patterns. They'll watch TV tonight instead of reading a book. They'll complain about their job tomorrow instead of taking action to improve their situation. They'll make the same excuses they've always made. And 5 years from now, they'll be in exactly the same place they are today, still broke, still frustrated, still wondering why other men have what they want. But a small percentage of men, maybe 5%, will actually listen. They'll recognize the truth in these words, even though it's uncomfortable. They'll look at their habits, their thinking, their daily actions, and they'll decide to change. Those are the men who will be wealthy 5 years from now, not because they're smarter, not because they're luckier, but because they chose to act on the truth instead of running from it. They'll start reading books instead of watching TV. They'll focus on increasing their value instead of just trading time for money. They'll take responsibility instead of making excuses. They'll invest instead of just saving. They'll learn instead of pretending they know everything. They'll embrace money instead of fearing it. They'll take action instead of hoping for luck. And slowly, consistently, inevitably, their lives will change. Their bank accounts will grow. Their opportunities will multiply. Their confidence will increase. Their impact will expand. Not overnight, not without effort, not without setbacks and failures and moments of doubt. But it will happen, because that's what happens when you align your daily actions with the principles of wealth creation. The question is, which type of man are you going to be? Are you going to be like the 95% who make excuses and stay broke? Or are you going to be like the 5% who make changes and build wealth? The answer to that question will determine everything about your future, your lifestyle, your options, your impact, your legacy. Choose wisely, choose now, because 5 years from now, you'll be living with the consequences of the choice you make today. What's it going to be? Are you going to keep doing what poor men do, or are you finally going to start doing what rich men do? The time for excuses is over. The time for action is now. Your future is waiting, but it won't wait forever. What are you going to do about it?